happening at the core of our industry, how real money game infrastructure is evolving beyond the traditional in-house RGS model. So it's going to be a conversation about efficiency, scale, and what happens when shared infrastructure becomes not just possible, but necessary. To walk us through this transition, please welcome Robert Lenzhofer, CEO and co-founder at Hintersimmer.io. Give it up! Woohoo!
Hello. Welcome to the end of RGS as we know it. A little bit about myself and the journey, because that's part of the context too. I work in iGaming since 2001, and I always worked in games. I worked on RGSs, integrations, and it has been done too often. We started this company because I said, I'm done, no more. This is a wrong in the industry that too many people are developing something that is the same thing over and over again. Another RGS, another RNG, another Operate API, another database. But in essence, it always does exactly the same thing. I have 3 parts in this presentation to have it a little bit fun. The first part is the boring part, which we take away from you, the RGS part. The second part is the stupid part. Some people will feel very stupid not using hizi.io after they have seen what we're showing today. And then to the crazy ones who believed in us. Nobody really wakes up or goes to sleep thinking about an RGS, and we want to keep it that way, and we want to make sure we provide a service and a product that is for everyone to use, and we get rid of the need to develop anything yourself on that level. But first, a little bit of housekeeping for those who don't quite know what an RGS is. An RGS stands for Remote Gaming Server. And in essence, it's quite a simple thing. It consists of 4 boring pieces, an RNG, a simple transactional database to record transactions, a simple back office normally, and an Operate API. But it takes a while. It takes a while to build this core RGS. Typical teams take 3, 6, 12 months. You need 1, 2, 3 people to build it. But it's done over and over again. The whole industry, from 1996 onwards, really since HTTPS exists, has built this in-house. Obviously, in the early 2000s, that was the only way. Cloud came along and other technology advances, and it became easier and easier. But it's a little bit insane to think that there's 50,000 titles, 44 plus titles I could find through scraping. On the market, 800 or 1,000 studios, some people say, and it's quite ridiculous that the component which doesn't get you to win, you win by building great games, you win by having good marketing, you win by having good sales, you win by having the best ideas, you win by having new mechanics. But people don't generally ask, well, do you have an RGS, yes or no? It's a hygiene factor. And there should be a product out there that fulfills that promise easily, so you don't have to build it yourself. And when you build it yourself, you build the core, you run the core, but you have to do this forever. And typically what happens, if anyone has ever run IT projects before, they're never on budget, they're never on time, and typically there's lots of features missing in there as well. So now to the second phase, to the stupid part. We have a few announcements to make today. We have a presentation video I'll show in a minute about our product. And basically, only a handful of people have seen this so far. So this is a world premiere launch. You can sign up on hizi.io today to apply for our competition beta program. So you saw the graph before, there's the core RGS, but really the system we are building is beyond RGS. So it's the end of RGS in a meaningful way, because you need a lot more things. You need somebody who's hosting your RGS, ideally in a way that you don't need to think about it. You have to do aggregation if you want to do that, and that's quite complex because it takes a few years to build up a good aggregation layer. you also need all the integrations for the operators. So suddenly, you're not at a 6-month project anymore, but at a 5-year project. And then there's compliance, which is a whole ball ache, basically, because the information is quite hidden. When you figure out talking to regulators and look at the regulation, there's always stuff you find out later, after launch, talking to operators. So the information is not quite clear, and it's hard to build that infrastructure. And then we have hizi engine, we call it, is our engine for building games. More to that in a minute. hizi engine is our prime innovation, our killer application for the RGS, for our system, for our, what we call more a infrastructure layer for building real money games. With this, you can build any game on a backend level, on a game engine level with no code. You can build your typical originals games, obviously with provably fair technology, which we support. You have roulette and blackjack and slots. But now, to show you the product, we prepared a little video.
Welcome to the hizi.io RGS demo. Here is your login screen. Once you're logged in, you can create and select a space. A space, in essence, is your entire RGS company. We're creating a new space. You can choose your plan here. We have the hizi sandbox plan. We confirm our subscription, and your remote gaming server is being set up right now. That's it. You have your own RGS in less than 20 seconds. Now that we have the whole system, we need to create relevant entries. We don't have a game studio defined yet, so let's define a game studio. It runs on the hizi native integration protocol, so we save it. We have now created our game studio called NEXT Super Studio. Now, let's create some games, or at least one game, under the studio. We select a friendly game name. We call the game Book of Lotsen to create a simple book game to show the entire process. We select hizi engine, but there's also other ways to create engines and to create games via upload through a Docker image or via connecting to a different RGS entirely. But here we focus on the hizi engine. Now we do have a game record. We have one game, but it's not really a game yet. We have to create the engine. And now we go to an industry first, no code backend game engine development tool that allows us right here in this presentation to create the engine on the fly. The config name, we call it Book of Lotsen engine. And now we go into the editor. In here, you can define lots of different games. You can do a crash game, a Keno game, a Minds game, a Plinko game, and everything is done via no code. You just simply click through the various steps in the configs of these various templates. For instance, here is a Keno game where you can define your draw count, min picks, max picks. Here's a preview, you can simulate the output. But that's not really what we came for. We came for something much more complex, which is building a slot machine, backend engine from scratch. Here we are. We do this with a template first, 5x3 Classic. In this hizi engine slot builder, you can define your columns, your reels, your play direction, your type of game. Is it a cascade? Is it a megaways game? You can define all your symbols, features of the symbols. You can have a preview of how the board looks like. You can even define your own reel set in a visual editor, which allows you to really easily create a reel strip or many reel strips. We're going with probabilities in this example. In the award sections, you have your win lines with the various awards. You can change the mode of payout from win lines to ways to scatter to cluster. We keep it as win line here. Then you can define your win lines. In this visual editor, you simply click, and that's how you change the win lines. On the bottom here, you have all 10 win lines of this sample game. You have features which you can define: random entry, substitutions, pot awards, collector, progression for progressions across multiple game rounds, and here you can actually test play the game. The last step here would be to run a simulation, which you can run in the browser. It runs wonderful. But actually, we came here to create a book game. So hold on, maybe we can get some help from the AI here. We have built an AI bot that runs on top of this engine. This is not creating AI slop engines. It's a tool that uses our hizi engine builder like a human and using context from its knowledge base. Let's ask it. This game to a typical book of game, please. Always be kind to your local AI. It's now identifying that it needs book spins in the games. It's creating the various symbols: book, explorer, pharaoh, and so on. It's creating the awards. Now it's adding the win lines. And now it's adding the book feature. Now we run the simulation. Perfect. We have arrived at 95.12% RTP. That's great. Now, after we've run the simulations, we can go into the editor and actually change the weights of each of those payouts manually if you want. We can say 95.12 is not quite right. We want actually 96%. We click auto adjust and we arrive at 96%. And now to the final step, which is the publish. We have now created our book engine right in the hizi.io RGS. We click publish, and it now has been published inside the hizi.io RGS. We now have an engine. Created our games. We can go to the game launcher, select our player, play in real money mode, and launch the game that is connected to a front end.
And that's it. That's how you create a game in hizi engine. But we are not done. The product is not complete when you don't have aggregation. We have built over the last year with a couple of partners an aggregation module. The difference is we do not aim to be an aggregator. We also know the pain of operators building their own aggregation. We have a different model where we license our software to anyone. There's also the possibility to purchase the source code so that operators don't anymore have to build their own aggregation, but they can run our aggregation or even own it. There's lots of studios on the list I can't talk about yet, but quite a few are coming this year. We should have 30, 40 studios by the end of the year. Also, what's important is another layer in an RGS, because the RNG and the engine is not enough. You need to get the games out to your partners. We have close to 100 integrations. We are integrated with the top tier operators and have access to all the best platforms and aggregators that exist in the market. It's truly an offering that gets you worldwide coverage. Now, certifications. We have created a partnership with RiskCherry. For this, I ask Rob to come on stage, please. Just one slide, but it's just one slide.
Rob Fell, CEO of RiskCherry. As Robert said, we've entered into a partnership because when we started RiskCherry, we wanted to look at speeding up certification, making it more efficient, And our goal and our tagline was certification made simple. And a lot of what we've done in the systems that we've built and leveraged a huge amount of process automation, automated testing, and increasing amount of AI within our systems really helps us to do this internally on our side. But we're still asking partners, game studios, platforms to log into our portal, which I think is better than anyone else has out there, upload a zip, put some metadata in, and place the order in that way. And as you can see, the old way has a number of steps that require a human to take time to take compiled artifacts, put them into a structure that we ask for, and put them into our system. Then some processes start to run, and we start to fire messages back via Slack, and there's a huge amount of automation there that makes us efficient to a certain point. However, that's not good enough. And with partnerships with Robert and with a couple of others, we've developed a system that now can take us into the future, and we can ingest into our platform from the build process, once a game has been fully QA'd or a platform, etc., fully QA'd and signed off by a studio, their system can automatically push that into ours. We can then take that into our testing area automatically. We've then got agents that run, and we've got some semi-autonomous and some autonomous functions that run through that. And we can start to then certify content without a human looking at it. Yes, we will always need, under the ISO accreditations and the things that we do, we need that oversight, we need people there, but we're using the automation and the AI to speed these things up. And what it means is, it means there's less human touch points on both the partner side and the side that we're on. So we can do things much more efficiently, we can do things much quicker, and we can be as cost effective as we can in doing this. And then the final bit is when we find an issue, because often there are things that are missed, there's regulatory features which need a bit of kind of nuance and checking around, we then automatically raise those defects back into the partner's platform. It can create tickets into whatever solution they use for that. And then the final bit, and the real end state for me, is our system using AI and automation to raise those defects, to raise it back into the partner's platform. Then we'll have AI talking to AI at some point in the future, and we'll be auto-fixing those defects, and we'll have a seamless feedback loop. Yes, there'll be people involved, but we get to a position where this autonomous pipeline is as seamless as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Rob. The next layer, a simple one, but it's quite hard at scale, is the hosting part, because once you have a software, you need to host it. Sounds easy enough, you have cloud, but it starts getting complicated when you have to host 25, 30 production RGSs. They need to run globally, and all the code and the deployment need to be synced together. This is something we offer out of the box for you. But one more thing is also that we focus a lot on regulated markets, and RGS is incomplete if it doesn't serve all the markets on the planet. Regulation is a little bit hard. You can build a system, but also what we allow our enterprise customers, which we call hizi Enterprise, to shelter under our licensing infrastructure. There's lots of markets we do. We are ISO 27001 certified. We have a UK license, we have a Greek license, we have a Swedish license, and we're certified basically in all of European markets except 2 at the moment, which we're extending towards the end of the year. We aim for entering North America, and we also have our RGS certified in South Africa, Baltics, and for Brazil. So we have a very good regulated market coverage, so you can run your own instance RGS, or you can ask us to help with international distribution. What options do you have when you enter building games with an RGS? You can build it yourself, typically 2 + 1 people, developers, and that comes with yearly costs. And our approach is that we're not in competition with other companies. We're in competition with you, the operator, you, the studio, trying to do it yourself, not failing, but taking too long and spending too much. We offer that you can purchase the core RGS source code for 250K. That's not a business model for us. That's a matter for you to feel safe in the main. Because you don't want, with such a core piece of technology, you don't want dependency on a third party that it's hard to exit. But now, The revolution we have is our RGS and our system, automatic deployments, our innovative hosting systems, our innovative way to spin up an RGS, a segregated data RGS for clients. We can have a self-service product we call hizi Basic, starting at only 1,500 euros per month. And we have changed the game. Typically, you have to go to a conference. It's nice here, but you can't do this 50 times a year. We wanted to create a product where you can sign up online, pay online, and basically it's a little bit like AWS, basically. On the spectrum, we are less iGaming, we're more AWS. You sign up, we don't charge revenue share, we charge a fee, some scaling fee, as you would imagine from your hosting company at the end of the day. So we have a sandbox for 500 euros a month. That's really nothing to go live with, but it allows you to build, to test, to integrate, do everything for however long you need, for a month, for a year. And when you're ready, we have the basic version, which has some limitations in terms of features that allows us to keep the pricing low. And then we have the standard version, which I think most of our customers will use, gets you access to all the integrations and also to the aggregation module. And then we have the custom module called hizi Enterprise. On the hizi Enterprise, we have quite a few customers already. And now, today, we're launching hizi Basic and hizi Standard. Now, to the last act of this presentation, to the crazy ones, who were crazy enough to believe in us early on. And we collected, through not being very loud, this is our first public presentation of the product at all. Before, I just told my friends in the industry and tried to get some deals done. But we have quite a cool list of companies who work with us. We have Bet Games, where we develop the entire slot vertical. We have 9th Street, who is doing incredibly great original games, which we have launched. We have Tangelo, who is a social casino, actually, who needed a partner to get into real money. FDS Gaming is related to Hollywood bets, so quite a big name in the industry. We have Lesia, ran by somebody who was Chief Commercial Officer of Pragmatic. So a real good range of studios, and there's plenty more to come. Now, who wouldn't want to build their own studio now that this piece of software and company exists? And there's somebody here I want to introduce to you who launched Automat. Jan.
I'm so happy to be here, to have this opportunity. I want to thank Robert, and I want to thank, of course, the organizers of iGaming Next. I don't have enough time, so this will be a pressure cooker. We go fast. So, let's say the player wakes up. He looks at his phone. There is a notification. There is an SMS. Maybe a call is coming in from an operator. An email arrives. So, this player is swamped now. We want his attention. And the player gives in, goes online to his favorite website, but what's happening? The lobby is different. Everything is different. New games, the games I loved that were on top are on the bottom. I have to search for them. How do you search for games that I like? Well, I need to remember them. Now, this is where we come in. How do we create a memory for the player? The simple answer is we need emotions. The emotions for the player are the main thing that creates this impact. The roller coaster of the bet and the win, the positive, the negative energy that the player is experiencing. That is something that makes this imprint and allows you for your product to be very strong and stay in the mind of the player. But why am I telling you this? Well, it's very simple, because it was allowed by Robert. I can now think about these things. I don't have a headache. I don't have to look at deadlines. I don't have to look at contracts. I don't have to look at the infrastructure. I don't need to check if all technology is working. Now, the main thing is what the identity of my studio is. What's the truth? Because now the mode is not the technology. The mode is the taste. And in the future, all the studios will need to put this question into the head of their designers and the guys that are trying to create something new. And with that, I would like to present to you the machine. The machine is not a billing machine, it's not a business machine, it's not a machine that is trying to manage developers. That's not my machine, that's Robert's machine. My machine is a memory machine. I create memories for players. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to present to you Automax. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. We're coming to the end. Let me sum up a few points. Nobody builds their own data center anymore. Everyone goes into the cloud. And this moment is the AWS moment for RGS. It was a custom build in the last 25 years. Now we make it a commodity. And now it's about you to find out what door you want to enter. You can ship games, you become a studio. As you have seen, it became very easy and accessible. We've built an aggregation module, so we take away the pain from operators to run their own aggregators. You've seen hizi engine, and we offer this also to B2Cs to build their own engines, to build their own developer community, and let people in. It's literally, in that scenario, the end of RGS, because you don't ask a studio anymore, can you please integrate? I need a contract. Which aggregator are you using? You say, build directly on my engine. Thank you. This is the end of RGS.